Oh. Thank God.
As we load in to game number 1 of this best of 5 qualifying match. Here in the top right hand corner map, starting all the way in the top right hand corner of Jaganatha KBBLE, with the Red Zerg player coming out from the land of New Zealand as well as Britain. He is going to be representing himself as he's currently teamless, but also old mate Sheldon. He is the lover of Oz, RiSky.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Jaganatha LE, we have the Indonesian Protoss player. He is blue, representing elite Indonesian StarCraft. It is Quantel.
I just realized when I said the lover of Oz, that was kind of like the wizard.
Ah.
Yeah.
Like, I almost said Tom Hardy. What's his name? What's Robert Downey Jr.? There you go.
Robert. Yeah. There are similar names, yeah.
Yeah. I thought so. Now I went from was it Tom Holland? I went from Tom Holland to Iron Man.
Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I get you.
Yeah. Look, there were connections to be made.
Was there?
Yeah, you figured it out.
Yeah, I mean, I figured it out after you. Wait, so what is?
Huh? What?
No proxies coming out here from Quantel.
None whatsoever. I was also about to say that the only thing I know about the UFC is the other day you had a rant about like the Wimbledon and like the crocodiles, right? Like,
right.
Yeah, that's all I know about the UFC.
All you know about UFC is Wimbledon. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they're both like sports. Is UFC a sport? Is that a technically?
I mean, it's a style of sports. I'm not sure if it's a sport proper.
It's a style of sport. It's like a font.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typography, if you want to get fancy.
Calligraphy. There you go, mate. There you go. What's the other one? God. Mayweather. Yeah.
George Foreman.
The grill. Yo, I've got one of those grills, mate. That's UFC.
Why isn't there like a UFC sponsored cook-off?
Well, yeah, all cook-off.
I will watch that. I will watch that. Grill off.
Yeah. Yeah, show that instead of the Wimbledon, man. Anyway, we do have this game slowly kicking off right now. I just want to see the chat's reaction to that conversation. Oh my god. We do have a Stargate opener here from Quantel Shock. Alright, it's what he's been going for. He has a different style compared to Starduck, I must say, but we'll see what he has to offer here. Is he one to go into Disruptors, into Zealots, or into just more Void Raids?
Yeah, we were definitely able to see a lot of his PvT yesterday, which focused a lot on getting a bit of a, admittedly, staying safe enough to get a bit of a death ball, and it does seem like that transfers over a little bit to PvZ as well, but with very different unit compositions. Again, I'm gleaming that based entirely on only one PvZ game I've seen from Quantel. So
exactly. We watched a single PvZ. We know nothing. Oh boy.
That's why they hire us for analysis.
Exactly. Well, really what we're going to learn together with everyone else, you know? What is his style here? And there we go. He is going for that Robo, is going for that Forge. So he is looking to, I imagine, going to a Robotic Spay and get some Disruptors to help out his Void Rays.
Yeah, really major thing that Starduck lacked in his series against RiSky. He was playing extremely greedy, and RiSky, you know, he is kind of like a nun. He came in and said, "What? Boy, greed is a sin." has to be punished. Quantel, not one to take that risk.
RiSky is known to be an aggressive Catholic. But yeah, exactly. As you were saying, there's robotic spay. We even have a Twilight Council behind this as well.
Ooh.
And I did also want to add that, to be fair, when it comes to RiSky versus Starduck, it did feel like RiSky was a little bit more hyper aggressive, right? He didn't necessarily give Starduck a lot of room to breathe whatsoever. Unlike this game versus Quantel, where RiSky, he's like been droning up and he's getting a 4th base. Like, he's a lot more chill here.
Well, I feel like RiSky was a lot more aggressive against Starduck after game number 1.
True.
When he realized what Starduck was capable of.
Yeah.
Got into the mid game, right? RiSky was still gearing up to go for a bit of a timing, but not as quickly as he did later on in that series, right? He was just testing the waters with Starduck, and then realized, you cut a lot of corners. If I just go aggressive, I can kill you outright. And he was proven right, so I guess he's just testing the waters with Quantel once again here.
Mm-hmm.
Can't imagine he's kept too much of their previous series in his memory banks, in his RAM.
Nah, I'm sure he just got rid of it immediately, mate.
Yeah. Too painful. It was too painful.
Too painful, mate. Meanwhile, Shad is now starting to catch up to what the hell we wrote about. Oh, God. I love you, Seether. Meanwhile, so we may be in a similar scenario, by the way, where RiSky's like, he tests the water in game number 1, he sees what his opponent is all about, and then maybe he regrets that a little bit, and then just turns up the aggression to 11, because Quantel is fully walling off. He's putting a zest, right? We have that wall of gateways here protecting the 3rd base. He's trying to get a 4th. We do have a bunch of Void Rays and Sentries, but where are those disruptors? We need them here and now, because RiSky, he's showing up with the queens.
One of them is about to finish up. I'm not sure if Quantel can get away with saving this base. Another disruptor is still stuck in natural. Not a whole lot of army here for Quantel, but all he needs is one purification over the disruptor's exposed! But it gets a very juicy shot off on top of all these queens. It doesn't kill them, but the zealots are able to clean up the vast majority of them, forces them to use up their transfuse energy as well. Quantel cancels his 4th base, but he should be fine dealing with the rest of this aggression.
Yeah, I mean, we still have one more Nova remaining here since another disruptor came out. Also, I'm legitimately surprised, by the way. Quantel, he didn't get a 2nd Stargate. He's not going for Void Rays.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Nice split on the Ravagers, but unfortunately, this army is out for blood. These Archons and this Immortal just wants to take out as much as possible. Really good Biles, though, taking out an Archon and a Sentry. And now here comes the counter concave. Disruptor's so exposed. Quantel really overextending.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Quantel was doing so well protecting this 4th base for so long, and then, as you said, his army was just kind of torn apart there. Like, again, he just needed to chill, calm down a little bit more. Decent split, I guess, for 3 Ravagers go down, but I think it may still be enough here. Oof.
We shall see. Single Purification Nova available. Meanwhile, the Mutalisk get in. I didn't even notice RiSky was getting Aspire. And neither did Quantel, as he was being kept busy this entire time. Probes are falling left and right. And all of a sudden, RiSky has re-established control of this game.
Yeah, exactly. For the 2nd time today, we've seen RiSky go for that Muta switch, and it just completely caught Quantel off guard. An entire mineral line goes down, forces Quantel to respond, and as all that was happening, RiSky was able to snipe the disruptor on the front line.
Beautifully done. Quantel has had some very good connections with Purification Novas, but has never really been able to keep that up. Because he keeps exposing his, look, he's exposing his disruptors, which does mean that he gets some very good connections. Also means that once the roaches turn around, the disruptor's taken out of commission.
Yeah, exactly. But now there's number shooting here. We have slow Banelings, but never mind. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the Banelings are gonna get speed. Oh, they're coming in.
Just like so, crashing on top of this entire Protoss army. The Purification Nova actually gets some friendly fire too. That was very unfortunate. Quantel continuing warping. He's got plenty of gateways to reinforce his zealots, but it looks like he's about to run out of steam, especially with that worker disparity.
Exactly. The story with Starduck was he couldn't get a third, and now Quantel cannot get a fourth. GG gets gold. And RiSky takes the first game.
Nice and quick. Wants to completely avoid a repeat of the open qualifier.
Yeah, I'm legitimately shocked by the way that Quantel wasn't going Skytoss. To be fair, it's one of those things where we did only see one game from him previously, and I just made a lot of assumptions from that. But yeah. I'm sure RiSky also thought the same. He's like, wait, what?
Well, he had similar strategies in his PvT, and sometimes, even though the builds are going to be very, very different, unit compositions and whatnot, because that's just how the unit dynamics work and what have you, style will transfer over for each matchup. Like a player like Gogo Joey, it doesn't matter which matchup. Sometimes he goes for Roaches, sometimes he goes for Ling Bane, but he always wants to be aggressive. You get a player like Azure, who does whatever.
It's possible.
Does whatever works, and more often than not, he chooses correctly.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how Quantel mixes things up in this series. I would love to see more from him as to what he has to offer. Meanwhile, looks like game number 2, it's going to be one of the larger maps. Again, because of that, we should be seeing some Skytoss. 2,000 atmospheres.
I don't know. If you did see it on Jaganatha,
true.
I guess it is 50-50 whether or not we'll see it on 2,000 atmospheres.
Yeah. I'm really curious to see that as well. Because you're right. If Jaganatha, it's very good for Void Rays. It's great. It's beautiful. It's what you want. But he didn't go for it. I was like, what? So, yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
I think you've been influenced too much by Starduck. Well, Starduck, Paco, Mike, Jim Rising, whole bunch of players who
Zest, Parting,
Trap, Creator, basically every Protoss player out there. As we continue our best of 5 qualifying match here on 2,000 atmospheres LE over in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. Here we have the red Zerg player coming out from the land of New Zealand, as well as Brotan. He is going to be representing himself, as he's currently teamless, but also old mate Sheldon. Look at that. That was Sheldon back in the day when he was innocent, when he hadn't yet escaped from Tarkov. Look at that. He is RiSky.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner of 2,000 atmospheres LE, we have the Indonesian Protoss player. He is blue, representing himself and the elite Indonesian StarCraft scene. It is Quantel.
I've got my eye on you, Pro, but you're sitting on your own side of the map, so maybe I don't need to.
And I got you.
Yeah. Oh. So we should be seeing it in the Stargate game.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this game goes. Meanwhile, good morning, by the way, to Lord Loken in the chat. Do you see him popping by there for some of his boys? I did also want to touch a little bit on some of these players. Like, Quantel, I was actually talking to Kuro about this last night, was a bit of a surprise to come out from the qualifiers. Like, again, Quantel, he was very good, back in his heyday, back in, like, 2019, 2020. And again, was on a very long hiatus. But for him, out of everyone, out of Piglet, out of Peppy, Oreo, like Quantel, he was the one to make it out of that bloodbath, out of the open qualifiers.
Yeah, I guess in hindsight, it's not too surprising. Once again, he just took out Ranger. There's a case to be made where he's the best Protoss player in the C region. But because of how inactive he was throughout 2021, a lot of people are thinking, well, has he retired? But we haven't really had much word from him. We couldn't really get a gauge of what his form was looking like. to make it out of all of that, you know, beating the likes of Oreo, beating the likes of Piglet, getting close to taking out RiSky, I mean, it was a pretty massive upset too. I'm sure a lot of people who played that prediction game.
Yeah. Shocked a lot of people, man. He basically pulled a Justice Simon, where he was MIA for a long time, came back, and he was able to pop off a little bit.
Mountains.
From Indonesia?
Meditating.
Are there mountains in Indonesia?
There used to be volcanoes in Indonesia. But then they blew up.
Oh. What?
Yeah. Now, there are like some mountains on certain islands, but you know. And when I say that, I mean like actual mountains, so like the hills we have in Singapore.
Could you even call them a hill? Aren't the hills in Singapore below sea level?
There are. Half of Singapore is below sea level. Are you kidding me?
Oh my god, it's like a bowl, mate. It's like a bowl.
That's why we built like the artificial ports right outside. People think it's for boats, for like the trade and whatnot. No, it's to keep us in. Because otherwise the land will just seep out everywhere.
Singapore Atlantis confirmed, mate. Oh god. Speaking of, oh my, yeah, I mean, so far everything's pretty standard from RiSky, right? You know, we've got our queens, we've got a roach horn on the way, we've been droning up. We did have a Stargate opening from Quantel, but from that Stargate, we do have a transition into a Twilight Council.
Yeah, only going for the single Void Ray and Oracle for some kind of map control early on. Once again, just not going to be the unit composition, the army he's going for. We'll see if that changes as the game goes on to the late game. But for now, he's going to be very aggressive with Zealots. +1 in charge are both on the way.
Yeah, again, like, this is just something that we haven't seen too much of recently, right? Not going for another Stargate, not going for continued Void Ray production. He's instead going for a more ground-based composition, and this is why it's so much more important for RiSky to scout and figure out what the hell his opponent is doing, because you can't just make these blind assumptions like with Starduck. Like, it's just Stargate, mate, you know?
Pretty much. Nice Carapace is not on the way right now for RiSky, but to be fair, he is still getting up a very respectable queen count. He's still getting Galaudu Constitution. If he hits with his roach timing fairly soon, I feel like he may be able to just smash Quantel, at the very least get a bit of a base lead, but we'll see. He's going very quick into that infestation pit.
Ooh, that he is very interesting choice here by RiSky. I will have to wonder, is it to go into a hive, or is it for something like infestors or pathogen glands? Again, it's still one of those things where RiSky doesn't necessarily know what his opponent's up to. He hasn't really been able to see too much yet. But once he sees all those gateways, I think he'll have a better inkling.
Funnily enough, Fungals are actually pretty decent against Zealots, aren't they?
Yeah.
Fungals plus Banelings, that's all you need.
So that's all you need, mate. It's a way to just shut down those charge lots. Speaking of, we do of course have the Templar Archives finishing up for for Quantel, so he is going to be going to that charge or Archon composition.
The beef wave, as we like to call it, you know, Immortals could be supporting that as well.
Yeah, it's a breath of fresh air. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen Immortal Charged Archon since probably early 2020, which coincidentally was around the time where Quantel was starting to pop off.
Yeah, it may be one of those things where, again, because Quantel has been less active, he's, you know, a little bit more comfortable with older compositions, not as much with the newer ones. It's quite possible. And we'll see how this goes. Ooh, it looks like the hive was for lurkers instead. Great decision making here by RiSky, going for Hydra, Lurker, Viper. Going to be amazing against, again, like charge lots and archons.
That is absolutely what you want. Yeah. Zealots, of course, being a melee unit. Archons having a very, very short range. They are kind of forced to go into choke points, the Protoss player, and that is exactly where the lurkers shine.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, before that happens, the Rich Ravager's going to try and hit this 4th base. Ooh, we do have a couple of nice force fields, but the Bios are able to... Oh, good. Just barely get some of these Ravagers out.
Man, there was a little bit of a hole between those force fields, and these Zealots walked right in. I'm sure RiSky was extremely glad when he saw that.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, the Biles actually sniped the sentries. No more force fields are available. So far, so good here for Quantel. Sure, a shield battery finished up, but overcharge is not available with this Warping of Zealot, so it should just barely be enough.
The Biles, man, they've been landing with things. I mean, not quite enough to take out these units, but enough to cause some hull damage on the Warp Prism, you know, shave off a couple of Zealots here and there.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Quantel has now survived, and that is pretty scary. He still has a lot of production and quite a healthy economy. And
the problem is that, again, RiSky wanted to trade out Roach Ravager because he wanted to make room for Hydras, for Lurkers, as they are on the way. Hive is already done. We do, of course, have Group Spines being researched. Eventually, he's going to want to get rid of more of these Roaches and replace them with Vipers as well. Like, RiSky is just getting the ultimate army that he needs. Meanwhile, Quantel, I mean, at least he got his 4th base up.
Yeah, he still definitely needs to round off his army. Multi-prong getting set up here from RiSky.
Oh, that he
is. Have too many defenses here by the 3rd base location. We'll be able to chase away these Roaches and Ravagers. For now, RiSky is moving into the 4th base, though.
Yeah, that he is a little bit of an unfortunate Artosis pylon there towards the south. Meanwhile, there's 0 army here at the 4th base. Forces a recall, but is this going to be good enough? Because, mate, we got Lurkers.
We do have Lurkers. We don't have an Observer. We have a Oracle that can reveal, and it does reveal 1 Lurker, but it really cannot go too deep into that. Not with all of those Hydralisks, I should say. The Lurkers have lost their buffer, though. They do get revealed by another Oracle tag, and with that, Quantel surprisingly holds, and he's only lost defensive units so far. That's what you want to lose as a Protoss player.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, the majority of the Immortals... Thankfully, the majority of the Immortals were able to survive that engagement, and again, Immortals are what you need, or what you want, to try and get on top and focus down those Lurkers. So now Quantel has some momentum. We do need another Warping of Zealots, so again, we are missing a lot of buffer here. There we go, May is all on the way.
Like so, ooh, these Archons are getting dangerously low. They do get taken out. 2 more Archons come in to replace them. Quantel still losing a lot of beef. Most of the Hydralisks have been taken out, though.
That they have, but now the Disruptors...
Oh, 1 good Purification Nova, but another one that gets whiffed.
Exactly. But the problem is that, there we go, the Observer finally did get taken out. With that, there is no detection here. We do have a revelation. It does tag the Lurkers, and now the Lurkers are completely exposed. We should be seeing Quantel close the distance and dive on top of them.
Like so. These Zealots doing a very good job of keeping the rest of the army at bay, but look at what's left here for Quantel. A quick Warping of Zealots to try to keep this alive. Some Disruptors come in. These Zealots, man, they are scary, and RiSky is giving them the respect that they deserve.
And not just the Zealots, but also those Disruptors. With that RiSky, he loses the base. He needs a little bit more time. Finally, after a long time, Vipers are coming out. We do have a couple Lurkers being morphed in as well. Ooh, we actually RiSky going for a bit of a run by, but Quantel will respond. He's happy with winning the fights that he has, as well as getting that hatchery.
Should he be, though?
You wanted to keep going? Mate, he's down in supply right now. Oh my god.
He should regroup and...
Oh god.
Position himself for it to counterattack. The Disruptors are so exposed! But they do get the Purification O's off. All of these Lurkers will get taken out. And once again, Quantel takes the army supply lead. Not confident enough to push all the way, at least not in that position. So he's going to rotate around, try to strike another vulnerable base.
Yeah, exactly. You typically want to hit those fresher spaces. There's barely any creep here towards the south. That is going to be the next hitting point, the next engagement for Quantel as he is cleaning up all of these rocks. Well, something that I'm probably the most worried about is the lack of detection. He's been relying a lot on this 1 Oracle for revelations. But there we go. We do have a couple of Observers mixed in as well. Oh god, Lurkers are morphed in though. They're ready.
Yeah. And thankfully these Observers are slow, so they stay with the army. Sometimes spending money is actually a detriment.
I love the juke, by the way. Like, Quantel, he dove through the middle, and then boom, his main army goes towards the top left, and a massive zealot run by towards the south.
Yeah, massive multi-prong coming in here, which you can absolutely get away with. Lurkers are one of the more mobile siege units, but they are siege units nonetheless. They do still take a while to unburrow, reposition, burrow once again. A couple of blinding clouds get thrown down, but throwing down a blinding cloud in Archon really doesn't do much, does it? Because they don't have a lot of range to begin with, so...
Mate, there was some amazing yoinks, though, on both Disruptors. They didn't get a single Purification over off. Both of them got focused down immediately. But despite that, RiSky still lost another hatchery.
As Quantel gets another Nexus.
He is finally, it's up and running. He can he can Maynard over. RiSky, now it's his turn to be a little bit more aggressive here. He's across the map with his lurkers. Ooh, did he lose his Vipers? He only has one Viper remaining.
Thankfully, there aren't any feedbacks right now, so at least the Vipers aren't super vulnerable, but yeah, you still don't want to get too close to those Archons with only a single Viper. Oh, we were talking about it! Viper will get taken out. So much DPS here coming out from the Protoss player. Attacking down the north. Really good spread of lurkers, but that's not quite gonna be enough. Both players taking heavy casualties. But RiSky has just spent his bank, and Quantel still has a bank.
Yeah, exactly. RiSky has been losing base after base. Meanwhile, the bases of Quantel have been left completely alone. Finally, we have some harassment here as the single lurker does deny all the mining at the freshest base of Quantel. What does Quantel do? He doesn't respond, mate. He just goes in the attacks.
Yeah, he's got the momentum on his side. He knows it's going to take quite some time before RiSky can get any more lurkers out. Does need to respect the Hydras, but to be fair, when you've got 4 Archons, the Hydras also need to respect you.
Yeah, exactly. Respect needs to be had, and right now, RiSky, oh god, he loses the third base. No, the lurker goes down! Now, I think there's only one? Okay, 5 more being morphed in here at the natural base. Sure, RiSky may hold the natural, but he's gonna lose everything else.
Yeah, that natural is very quickly running out of resources as well. Finally, that lurker towards the northern base has been dealt with, as Quantel is just everywhere right now.
Yeah, exactly. He cleans up the bases. Unfortunately, Quantel actually doesn't know about the bottom right, so the bottom right will survive. Meanwhile, oh my god, another Zealot run by towards the top left. This hatchery is going to go down. RiSky, stuck on 3 bases, but basically on 1 base economy.
Pretty much. 1.5 base if you want to be optimistic, but bottom line, nowhere near as stable as the income of Quantel. And you know, when you're not even to the Protoss player, that's already scary. When you're behind by this much, I do not favor your prospects at all. Quantel is translating his income into a massive swarm of charge lots, and this looks to be the nil. A very nice position of the lurkers, but here come the Archons. I'm not convinced that RiSky will be able to hold from here.
And the problem is that Quantel just tagged every single lurker. It was insane. Just the value tags that this man has been having. Sure, we have more lurkers being morphed in, to be fair, for RiSky, so it's going to be difficult to break this location, but what is he protecting? Again, the only thing keeping RiSky in this game is the bottom right.
Yeah, but the thing is, he can't really send units there either, because he doesn't want to tip Quantel off.
Yeah.
But Quantel may go there regardless. Oh, actually, Quantel checks and
he's checking. Okay, yeah, he's gonna check. Mate. He's gonna know. Oh god.
And that is where the rest of the warpins are gonna go. Quantel surprisingly not maxed out. Now he is.
Oh god, that he is. We do have detection at home, by the way. This one lone lurker will get cleaned up. We do have a Zealot run by towards the bottom right as well. RiSky is being starved out. I never thought I'd see the day, or I'd say this, but Quantel is pulling RiSky apart. It's just too much for him, mate.
Yeah, we're usually used to it being the other way around. Quantel not the most active Protoss player in the PvZ.
Oh god, the lack of detection!
Really hurting him. The Oracle actually doesn't have any energy!
Oh god, it really...
Quantel dips his toes into the top of that ramp and loses all of his toes immediately.
Loses the foot,
He was able to dip the rest of his Yeah, well, he was able to save the rest of his leg at least.
Yeah, thankfully. Jesus Christ. But you know, Quantel, he's just taking more bases, he's just taking up, finally, some Sky Tosses on the way. But to be fair, let's be real, he doesn't need it. If he wanted to, he could brute force his way through all these lurkers. It'd be incredibly inefficient, it'd be difficult to pull off, and that is why he does want to just get some units in the sky, units that the lurkers just can't do anything against.
Yeah. Just really taking the next step, and he knows that it's not likely that RiSky will tech out from here. He doesn't have access to that tech flexibility that Zerg normally gets, just because his economy has been hit so badly so many times.
Exactly. I mean, I want to give props to RiSky because he's double expanding, right? Like, he's trying to get his economy back up and running, and now he has another saturated base. So he's slowly getting there. Slowly, though, because sure, he's getting an economy and he can make Hydras, but now he's up against carriers.
Yeah, which, I mean, to be fair, Hydras are a decent unit against carriers if the carriers are in low numbers. Yeah,
I mean, you're not wrong, especially if you have enough Hydras, to be fair. One of the problems is that the majority of the Hydras have been morphed into lurkers. Like, RiSky doesn't know about the tech switch, so he's trying to figure out how to survive against what's in his face when he needs to figure out what's going to be in his face in 2 minutes.
If only lurkers had an upgrade where they can increase the length of their spine so it hits air.
That would be disgusting.
Yeah. I'm sure -0 or something. Not -0, but what's his name? Joey? Question mark? Has probably made a mod for that.
Talk about nice username.
Nice username. There we go.
The most well-known like add-on or mod maker.
Yeah.
-0.
Yeah. Not -0. Yeah.
God
Joey.
Damn it. Shaking my head, mate. Shaking my head. Go?
No, the other one.
The
nice one.
Meanwhile, unfortunately,
base trade underway.
Yeah, unfortunately, RiSky was in the middle of hitting the top left. As a result, he's going to lose so much more. Finally, all the lurkers respond, but they are met by carriers, mate. Oh.
Just like so, detection isn't in position yet.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe this is one of those times where you would prefer to have fast observers. They save the army regardless, though. The Vipers, if they can actually get a parasitic bomb and the observers get caught up in that, then maybe there's a chance for RiSky to live, but that's a very massive if. And even then, you know, what are his prospects looking like if he survives from here on out? Not too good. GG's called. Quantel ties up that series 1-1.
Wow, GG, well played. Was a bit of a longer one, but honestly, I was very much so entertained. Quantel just going for this Charger Archon, eventually into Immortal. He did so well against this mass lurker composition of RiSky, man. Damn.
Yeah, very methodical, his approach to this particular map. First, I'm gonna make it look like I'm going Stargate again. Then I'm gonna actually switch it to Charged Archon. And then I'm just gonna keep rotating around. I'm gonna be active with my army, which I can do since it's Charged Archon. And my opponent's going for Lurkers, which is a lot more static. I don't have to worry about too many run-bys. And Lurker run-bys, I never thought I'd see today.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no. We have seen a couple of Lurker run-bys in the past, but that's usually from a position when the Zerg player is already ahead and just trying to clear up some supply, so they're trying to, you know, get some value as they clear out their lurkers in favor of other units as a tech switch, you know, to respond to how their opponents respond.
Yeah, again, it's one of those things where a lot of the modern Zerg players, like, they do whatever they can. Sorry, modern Protoss players do whatever they can to get into Skytoss, right? Like, there's a reason for that. It's pretty good, but instead, Quantel, he did the best he could to avoid it for as long as he could. Like, he just stuck with the charge onto the Archons and the Immortals, and it worked out for him. It was great. It was beautiful. Just, again, we said it during the cast. It was a breath of fresh air.
And now, let's take a gulp of fresh air as We load into not Oxide. Okay, the pun doesn't work anymore.
Almost, mate. Almost. You almost got it. Oh, God. But something that I do have to say is that the admin did just message me. I have a couple of updates. My condolences to Pez, as Azure did 2-0 and knock him out of the closed qualifier. Feels bad, man. Meanwhile, the lower best of 5 is still going on between Demi and Raza. And we got some updates. Our boy, I knew he could, and I knew we would cast him later on. Starduck did knock Ranger out of the tournament. Starduck took the series 2-1.
Ooh. That's tidings.
Yeah, exactly. Again,
for things to come.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, mate, give Starduck a PvP. Gotta remind you, he 2-0'd Probe last week. Like, he can
really
take...
did. And that was during a week where I think he was focusing a lot more on schoolwork, on studying.
Yeah, exactly.
He was very busy that week. Wasn't quite able to practice as much, but PvP.
Talking about Starduck?
Yeah, Starduck.
Yeah.
But yeah, PvP, mate. You don't necessarily need to practice too hard, so long as you have the brain for it. And Starduck, he's got a big brain. As we continue this best of 5 qualifying match here on Lightshade LE, we're in the top left-hand corner of the map, starting all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have the red player coming down from the land of New Zealand, as well as Bree-Tan. He is going to be representing Love Oz, all of the Oz lovers, especially you, Sheldon. He is getting frisky. It's risky.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Lightshade LE, we have the Indonesian Protoss player. He is blue, representing Team Elite Indonesian StarCraft. It is Quantel. Fighting back and putting a point on the board,
mate. Risky can't be too pleased about that. I can already hear him starting the draft tweet.
Oh god, man, he's not gonna be too happy about losing another game after this as well. Now Lightshade is a pretty good map for Queen Walk, so I'm.
It is, yeah. So... That's why it's gonna be even more upsetting if it doesn't work.
No. True.
I believe.
We shall see how this goes. Also, I guess another thing to add is that Starduck is waiting for the loser of this series, and it's one of those things where part of me wants to see a rematch between him and RiSky, but the other part of me knows that he will have a much easier time, or he will have a happier time facing a Protoss player. It's just a matchup he enjoys a little bit more.
Either way, he just wants to get the series over as quickly as possible, I suppose.
Oh, yeah, mate. Should go to bed, have a nap, and come back in an hour, mate.
Pretty much. I mean, I feel like he can get away with that. Quantel is open to going to the late game, as is risky.
Yeah, this is very true, very true. And we do see Quantel opening up with a Stargate. This isn't indicative that it's Skytoss as we've seen in the past. We'll see where this takes us.
To the sky. Toss.
To the moon, mate.
Ooh.
Let's go. As the first adept is just, again, scatting a little bit across the map. The slow link will be able to slip on into the main base. Get a bit of a cheeky scout. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, unfortunately for risky, the adept did finish in time. We'll be able to chase this away, but there's nothing to deal with the Overlord. Not yet, anyway.
Exactly. Nothing here shoots up, so the Overlord will be able to peruse its way into the main base, confirm that there is a Stargate and at least one Void Ray, and we'll see if Quantel goes for a second Void Ray after this, or for some Oracles.
I'm hoping it's 3 more Oracles, but
oh.
To be determined. Bit of an awkward angle this Overlord is coming in from. I mean, it does make sense. He wanted to scout with Zergling, but couldn't quite, so he scouts with Spotting Overlord instead. will confirm the Stargate, and I believe may have caught a glimpse of an Oracle right at the end there.
Yeah. I thought, you know what? He did actually. Oh my god.
There we go.
So he is
Spores
aware.
already on the way.
Yeah, spores are on the way in the center of said mineral lands. Beautiful. We should be seeing some queens, yep, at the third base and in the main. So RiSky, he is set up beautifully to defend. Meanwhile, Quantel is setting up his own third. Oh, and going double Stargate!
He is pulling a Starduck.
Oh, he heard us on stream. He's like, yo, Starduck won? Mate, there's something to it.
Yeah, I'm gonna start playing Kerrigan Survival now.
Little does he know that Starduck did Cannon Rush, so... Oh no.
Aye. But you were mentioning it, Queen Roach pushes work very, very well on Light Shade, especially against double Stargate like this. The Creep Highway is already in construction, and the Roach Warren has been thrown down.
That it has. I do love that Quantel, despite there being a couple of spores, was able to abuse the fact that RiSky was being a little bit risky at his third, a little bit greedy, probably the better word to use there, as there was no spore, so he was able to get 3 drone kills and back off with his Oracle.
Whoa, hold up! I just realized Quantel is ahead. 11 workers.
Oh yeah, mate. RiSky, he lost those drones and he did not replace them. He doesn't care about replacing them. He is all in. The queens are waddling across the map and Quantel still has... Oh, now he sees!
Immediately turns around, trying to throw down a couple of stasis wards. I definitely dig it.
Yeah, that he is. Meanwhile, it's one of those things where Quantel, please! Almost loses one of the Void Rays, the stasis trap. It looks like it's gonna be baited out. Oh no, never mind.
Not quite.
Oh.
Keeping the probe there just to be a juicy target. Stasis ward does get baited out. It feels a little late right now for Quantel to be getting all of these defensive structures. Yeah. Vials land on the shield battery. We'll be able to take it out. No overcharge available by that third base. Quantel just has to sack it now. Defend it natural. Exactly.
It's one of those things where those shield batteries that we're building here at the third base really should have been at the natural. He needed to be prepared to lose this third base, and now the shield batteries are late. The Void Rays are almost dead. I just realized there are 0 shield batteries ready here at the natural base. There's nothing here.
Mate. Void Rays are starting to go down like flies. Biles are looking fantastic. Wall is not a wall, and the links do slip in, as do all the Ravagers. RiSky is regrouping here, doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks, but it doesn't really matter. GG is called. RiSky will be taking the lead here, going up to match point in this best of 5 qualifying match.
GG, very well executed there by RiSky. Meanwhile, Quantel, he did scout it in the middle of the map, which again, he did have some time to set up at the natural. It's one of those things where once he saw that, he needed to be prepared to just say goodbye to the third. He needs to be like, I'm going to lose this. I'm not going to try to hold on. Like, I'm going to have my units here, sure, but I'm not going to invest even further because it's just not going to work out.
Well, he wanted to at first, but then he looked into the eyes of Nexus and how it pleaded with him. Please, father.
Please, papi, please. I was just bored.
Don't abandon me.
Yeah, and he didn't. And in the end, he got his whole family killed. It's just... God damn it, Quantel.
That sounds like a Greek parable. Story they tell in the olden days.
Yeah. Just give up your firstborn, mate, to save the rest, man. That's all you gotta do.
Exactly. And that's what they did in Egypt, right?
There you go. Oh, good. But now, as you said, RiSky, he only needs one more to move on and make it to the main event. Again, for the first time in quite some time, to be honest. It's been a while.
Un momento.
Sí. Meanwhile, I believe another thing that I kind of glossed over, but is actually impactful. Obviously, I was saying my condolences to Pez, but also, like, Azure beating Pez, like, that's kind of an upset. Historically, Pez is the one who was the dominant force in the series between the two of them.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you look at it and you're like, yeah, Pez and Azure fairly evenly matched, right? And sure, they do get pretty close games, but Pez has always been able to edge it out barely, but yeah, now Azure getting a little bit of a taste of that. But regardless, that is going to be the end of that TVP. We are continuing this ZVP here on Blackbird LE, where we're in the bottom right-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom right-hand corner. We have the red Zerg player coming out for the land of New Zealand, as well as Great Britain. He is going to be representing old mate Sheldon. He loves Oz. Everybody get your whiskeys ready, because he needs only un momento por favor. He's RiSky.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackburn ALE, we have the Indonesian Protoss player representing Team Elite Indonesian StarCraft. Currently down 1-2 in this best of 5. He needs uno más to make it to the ace match. It is Quantel. Yo, and we called it. We knew it, mate. People in the chat, the peoples of StarCraft, Kuro especially, exclamation mark, Funada Revenant, as this man, where were you? Where were you this week? The DreamHack qualifiers were here. We needed a Singaporean. God damn it.
I was scanning my screen, my in-game screen, the entire time we were talking about it. I was like, wait, what? Who's getting the gold base? Dog Shrine? Question mark? Oh no, you just wanted to call it Revenant again. Alright then.
Oh my god. God damn it, Revenant. Shaking my head, mate, shaking my head. And you think I wanted to see Revenant in the bracket? Really, it was Whisk, mate. You know, I knew that you were out together on a Friday night.
Pretty much. Shaking my head. Nameless was in the bracket.
Mm-hmm.
For one of the qualifiers, at least. I do remember that.
Mm-hmm. God damn. Shaking my head.
Shaking my head, yeah.
Oh, God. And
Void.
meanwhile, of course, the Overlord is slowly being pushed away here. You know, it looks like it should survive a little bit longer as Quantel is keeping his tech hidden. Oh, no, never mind. It's been scattered. Oh, okay. It's going to be a Stargate. So.
Yeah, I can imagine he's gonna commit to Stargate on Black Window, right?
It would be crazy. It'd be crazy. It'd be insane.
Oh, he's actually going Oracle first. No Void Ray this time. And I guess that's kind of a tell for RiSky too, that he did go for a Stalker first instead of that Adept. Should be preparing a little bit earlier back home.
Yeah, exactly. As you said, we saw how RiSky was, again, being a little bit greedy in the previous game on Light Shade when it comes to responding to this. Meanwhile, another thing to say is, mate, we're on Blackburn. I imagine we're going to be seeing some more of that creep highway, some more of that aggression from RiSky looking to just waltz across the map. Quantel, are you going to have an answer to that?
Mayhaps.
Mayhaps? Oof.
Also nice, and doesn't really get much of anything. A very quick reaction from RiSky, but now some very vulnerable drones are starting to fall. Creep wasn't connecting the main to the natural. The Oracle will finally go down, but not before getting 5 drones. So honestly, a little bit better for the Zerg player, but still some decent value for the Protoss player.
Well, RiSky didn't get... I'm surprised he didn't make a single goddamn spore, and he still hasn't in the main, and the second Oracle's coming in, but the Queens are here! Oh my god.
Well, you know what that means, right? When the Queens are here, it means that the Queens aren't there.
True. And there is where the Oracle is as he dives in, and 1, 2, 2 more workers go down, and the Oracle this time escapes with his life.
Thankfully, he really does need those stasis wards to stop any eventual pushes or those revelations to just tag the army, or even in case of borrow later on.
Exactly. I was about to say, when it comes to stasis wards, typically RiSky's been very on point with baiting them out. Not just in this series, but also against Starduck. Meanwhile, nice round of those Adepts. Yo, the Adepts go down, the Pylon goes down.
The Nexus stays alive. What could have gone down?
But yeah, like, these things have just gotten so much value. Again, getting another surround on these adepts. Like, thankfully the Oracle was here to try and clean all this up. But damn.
Pretty good value.
Definitely, definitely.
Ooh.
And we were talking about it. We did take note that there were no Void Rays here, and it is because Quantel does not want anything to do with those Void Rays. He is switching things up here into Charge Lots and Archons.
That he is pulling a bit of 2,000 atmospheres here, and I was looking at the layout of the map, and I feel like RiSky should have a bit of an easier time defending, but that's assuming he's able to scout this early enough.
Yeah, unfortunately RiSky hasn't gone into the main base yet, but he hasn't seen any Void Rays, right? So he's aware that something else is kind of coming upon him, if you will. I do appreciate that Quantel is going for this composition. It worked for him once before, right? Would it work again? Potentially. Potentially.
Tis to be determined, yeah.
Yeah, as he does have a War Prism on the way. With this War Prism, he's going to be zooming across the map, and he can be aggressive with those charge ults, as I believe charge is completed. +1, about to finish up alongside this, and it is go time for Quantel. Oh.
Is he going to go for a straight up push? The wall is on a wall! RiSky gets right in, and he sees everything that Quantel is getting, even distracting the army for a little while. Quantel finally pushing out now, trying to deal with the Lings using his probes, and he can't get away with that. Like so.
Yeah, exactly, but that was a lot of damage done, a lot of free scatting, as you were mentioning. Meanwhile, the War Prism's across the map, but it does get intercepted by one of the Queens, taking a lot of damage, and there are Queens here to meet it in the main base. Oh.
And those are slow zones too,
Oh,
so it's
God.
gonna be easy for
Oh,
the
God.
to escape!
Oh god, this is the Queen!
2 more hits! 1 more hit!
Queen!
At least the Archons stay alive.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, that was almost disastrous. Losing the War Prism and 2 Archons at this stage of the game may have just straight up been GG. Oh my god. Thankfully the Archons were able to escape.
Yeah. Well, if that War Prism and the Archons had gone down, RiSky would just go straight for the counterattack. He would hold down either his R or his Z key, and he would just send everything across the map. Those Archons staying alive will make RiSky think twice a little bit, so he instead is going for a bit of Mutilus harass. These Archons are stuck, unfortunately.
Thankfully, they're stuck in the bases, which is where they need to be, because we do have the Mutas coming across the map. Oh my god, they're headed straight for the main. Thankfully, we do have a cannon and a shield battery, so the Mutas shouldn't deal too much here, and we do have an Archon to try and chase them down.
Like so.
Shows the Archon, shows the Archon. Up. Oh my god, that's quite a number of probes, but here we go. The Archons do come back, and they are able to chase away the Mutas.
That is quite a number of probes, but imagine how many more probes it would have been without that shield battery. Like in the 3rd base, for example.
Exactly.
Chases away. A couple of Stalkers do get more warped in to keep the natural base workers alive a little bit longer. Actually going up to the main base for now.
Yeah. That they are. Meanwhile, RiSky, oh, it is go time. He's almost at 180 supply. He's got the creep, he's got the bases, he's got the army. He is ready to just push in and hope that, again, these Mutas have done a really good job at distracting the War Prism and the Archons. Oh, not again.
Yeah, it doesn't happen again, thankfully.
Oh boy. As War Prism does take a lot of damage. RiSky, he's about to max out. Oh my god, these Mutas being so annoying.
They really are. Single cannon ain't gonna cut it. Single cannon and a shield battery also ain't gonna cut it. Delaying the death of these probes by a long time, but they do die regardless.
Exactly. The entire mineral line goes down, and he's not done. And now he's going to go into the main base, force the warp in at home, and you know what? RiSky's going to take. Oh my god! Mate, that's it.
Cancels everything. That's got to be it. Exactly. He cancels everything going on there. The chargelets charge right on top of these banelings. A couple of decent force fields, but even better biles come out here for RiSky. 28 probes have gone down. The Mutalisks have finally being dealt with, but I don't care if Quantel has that gold base. RiSky has taken his own gold base as well. He is down way too many workers.
Yeah, exactly. Half the worker count of RiSky, and RiSky has all this momentum. He's going to be looking to try and chase this down. He does back off for now, but again, as you were saying, we have all these bases, 5 bases in total for RiSky. He's just rotating around towards the south here. The mutas still haven't been dealt with, by the way, so they just keep coming back in, keep one-shotting these probes. Oh god.
Like so. The Archon's having a bit of a long trek to deal with these mutalisks.
And the Archons, they need to be on the front line. You know, he needs everything he can to try and take on this army from RiSky, and even if he did, it would still be a hard-fought battle.
Yeah, if he loses here, he's out. If he wins here, he may still be out.
As the Baileys are rolling on in past the Archons. Oh my god, they hit that juicy center of sentries. There are no force fields left, mate.
And this is such a potent concave that RiSky is getting. The Biles do land, but the battery road charge is keeping a lot of the Immortals alive. RiSky baits the rest of the army away from that shield battery, and will be fighting on the high ground. Does need to get his reinforcements in position. These Lings are still very vulnerable to the Archons, in fairness.
Yeah,
there's still a whole ton of them.
And the problem is that these Lings have the potential to be morphed into Banelings, which is what we need to help deal with all of these Zealots. Oh boy, I just don't know how Quantel gets back into this. I mean, maybe with some... Does he have Storm? No, he does not have Storm available, just Archons. I mean, again, I guess Archons and positioning is the only thing he can really hope for.
And it can be pretty potent against Ling Bane. Not sure about the Raptors, though.
Yeah, exactly. The Biles forcing him back. A couple of Archons are going down. The Banelings actually, they crash into the Archons.
Yeah, they've been dealt with, but not the Road Ravager. GG is called. Well played as well. RiSky. Everybody get your whiskeys up, because he has qualified for that DreamHack Winter main event.
GG.
This one's for you.
GG. Well played, RiSky. He does make it through this. Oh my god.
He immediately invites us, yeah.
Yeah, he does make it through into the next round. And I say into the next round, he qualifies for the main event, mate. He's through.
Hey, there we go. That next round, yeah, being the main event. Okay, gloss over. And it turns out our math was wrong. A bit of an update here. Demi has taken out Raza 3-0? Really?
Ooh.
I expected that to be a lot closer. God damn, Demi. 2-0ing Pez and then 3-0ing Raza. He is someone you have to keep your eyes on in that DreamHack Winter main event. God damn.
Yeah, mate, he popped off. So, RiSky alongside Demi, our 2 Zerg players, will advance on into said main event to join other Zerg players like me and Micah. And I'm sure Demi was happy to avoid that ZVZ matchup.
Definitely.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, it looks like our math was wrong here, or our predictions were wrong. Starduck actually going up against Raza, not Quantel.
Yeah. Again, just how the bracket works out, that is how the lower bracket does shape up, so you don't face the same people on your side from the upper. Does kind of mix things up a little bit. And yeah, with that, Quantel gets knocked down to face Azure, and that will be casted over on Renegade's channel.
That it shall. 2 TVPs here for our final remaining qualifying matches.